If you're a new player in Guild Wars 2, you're probably in a hurry to get the best equipment you can so you can jump into endgame content. But what are the best ways to farm for Ascended gear? Is it even necessary for endgame content? Heck, how do Guild Wars 2's equipment systems even work? Let's answer those questions and more. I'll start this guide with a quick overview of how gear in Guild Wars 2 actually works. Feel free to skip to the timecode on screen if you just need info on Ascended gear. To start off, gear in Guild Wars 2 can be divided into 6 rarities, with each rarity having higher stats than the last. The rarities are, in ascending order, Basic, Fine, Masterwork, Rare, Exotic, and Ascended. There is also Legendary gear, but those have identical stats to Ascended items. Note that equipment stats don't increase consistently with each increase in rarity either, as seen with this table. Your gear is split into 3 categories: weapons, of which you may have up to 4, armor, of which you have 6 pieces, and trinkets, of which you also have 6. Trinkets can be further divided into 2 rings, 2 accessories, 1 amulet, and a back item. Now let's answer our second question. Do you actually need Ascended gear for endgame content in Guild Wars 2? Higher stats will undeniably be useful in completing any content, but they aren't mandatory, especially if you can make up the difference through smart play or an efficient rotation. As you saw earlier, Ascended gear's stats are only 6% higher than those of exotic gear. Full exotic gear is more than enough to comfortably complete raids and strikes, bar some challenge modes. In fact, I would actively recommend getting into raids without farming for Ascended armor, as we'll explain later, raids are one of the best ways to obtain it. On the other hand, fractals are a bit of a different story. To participate in higher tier fractals, you'll need to raise an extra stat, your agony resistance, by slotting agony infusions into your equipment. The issue is, for the most part, infusions can only be added to Ascended gear, making it mandatory for tier 4 fractals. Now let's get into the meat of this discussion. What are some of the best ways to get Ascended gear? I'll go through the equipment type by type, starting with... First off, one of the limited rewards in the Wizard's Vault is a single Ascended weapon chest for 600 acclaim. You'll get the best value out of this purchase if your build uses a 2-handed weapon. The next method of obtaining weapons is by buying them with currency, earned from doing raids, strikes, fractals, PvP, or World vs. World. All of these game modes allow you to trade their individual currencies for Ascended gear. In raids, you can trade 250 magnetite and 15 gold for a weapon, or twice as much for a 2-handed weapon. Strikes offer the same deal, but with blue profit shards instead of magnetite. These deals are much cheaper than crafting for 1-handed weapons, and of a comparable price for 2-handed weapons. For fractals, PvP, and World vs. World, you can get a weapon of either weight for just 5 gold and 3 Grandmaster marks, but these each require a hefty sum of unique currency as well. 24 fractal journal pages and 800 fractal relics for fractals, 250 shards of glory and 400 ascended shards of glory for PvP, or 350 skirmish claim tickets and 250 memories of battle for World vs. World. Combined with the cost of crafting Grandmaster's marks themselves, these options may be more costly overall than simply crafting the weapon yourself. Aside from vendoring, you can also farm for Ascended weapons as random drops. Completing the Tequatl, Drakkar, Dragonfall, Dragon's Storm, or Dragon's End events in the open world has a rare chance to award you with Ascended weapons. These daily chances are quite low, however, so you likely don't want to rely on this as your main avenue for obtaining weapons. Weapons also have a chance to drop from raid bosses or fractal chests, which may be a better time investment. You can also obtain weapons from completing reward tracks in World vs. World or PvP, or by ranking up in World vs. World. Depending on the weapon you need, you may be able to get weapons even easier from achievement rewards. Each elite specialization has a collection achievement that awards an Ascended weapon based on that spec's weapon proficiency. These collections can only be completed while playing as that spec, but if you need a weapon of the type your spec's collection offers, It's relatively quick and easy compared to other methods. Alternatively, if you have Heart of Thorns and need a shield, scepter, greatsword, sword, or dagger, you can complete the Knight of the Thorn collection, unlocked after completing the Heart of Thorns story. As with weapons, you can obtain some Ascended armor from the Wizard's Vault, up to 3 pieces per quarter, at a cost of 400 acclaim per piece. Once again, you can also purchase Ascended armor from many of the same vendors for the same currencies as weapons, though these have much more variation in price, so I'll just show you the table. Once again, I believe raids and strikes to be the best deals here, since they don't require Grandmaster's marks. For open world loot, armor has a much more limited selection, only being obtainable from Tequatl and Triple Trouble. As with weapons, however, it can also be obtained from raid bosses, fractal chests, reward tracks, and World v World rank ups. There are a few achievements that reward Ascended armor, but most of them are expensive collections. The one worthwhile collection, and what is, in my opinion, the best way to get Ascended armor, is the Envoy collection. Envoy is a collection progressed by doing raids, and completing it is how you unlock the ability to craft legendary Envoy armor. In addition to that, however, the collections also award you with 2 full sets of Ascended armor. Envoy is split into 2 collections. Both award a full set of armor. The second reward is the precursor for Envoy, meaning you'll have to choose the armor weight you eventually want to craft your legendary armor in, and you must be very careful not to stat swap or do anything else to the precursors that might prevent you from crafting them into legendaries later. The first set, however, is just completely free for you to do whatever you want with. If you plan on fully crafting Envoy, I generally recommend that you get your first free set of armor in a weight other than what you plan to craft. That said, completing Envoy can be difficult. It requires you to beat raids, which may be intimidating for new players. I recommend seeking out a raid training community, such as XL, Raid Academy, Gamer Haven, Skyn Gang, etc., to ease the process. If there's enough interest, I may also make a guide on the Envoy collection itself in the future. As seen in this massive table, there are many options for purchasing trinkets. We'll go through each type one at a time, starting with amulets. Your best options for buying amulets are with laurels, badges of honor, certain Living World 3 currencies, Mistborn motes from Dragonfall, or using Eternal Ice Shards to purchase from Bright Shore. In order to purchase using Ice Shards, you'll first need to complete the Hunger collection in Bura Marches. Aside from that, completing the meta achievements for the Heart of Thorns or Path of Fire stories will also reward a few different amulets, though some of these can be a bit tricky to complete. If you have all of the expansions and Living World seasons, you could skip Ascended entirely and go straight for the legendary Prismatic Champion's Regalia amulet. This is awarded upon completing the Seasons of the Dragons achievement, which will require you to complete the entire story, perform various tasks in each Living World map. This could be a long process, but it isn't particularly hard, and is undeniably the easiest way to get your hands on a legendary amulet. Let's move on to rings next. Your best options for buying them are with pristine fractal relics, laurels, badges of honor, Mistborn motes, or certain Living World 3 materials. Notably, rings can be purchased with winter berries farmed in Bitterfrost Frontier, which you may have heard touted as an especially easy and efficient way to farm for both rings and accessories. If you do fractals, rings will be one of the easiest Ascended items to obtain. Not only do they drop rather frequently from fractal chests, sometimes they drop already infused. World v World rank up rewards also have a chance of awarding Ascended rings. Finally, let's round off trinkets with accessories. They can be bought using guild commendations, laurels, Living World 3 currencies, Mistborn motes, or Eternal Ice Shards. Note that, as with rings, winter berries can be used here. As another similarity to rings, they can also drop from fractal chests. Finally, let's discuss back items. I lumped them in with trinkets earlier, but they technically aren't trinkets or armor, but a secret third thing. Regardless, here's how to get your hands on some. If you have Path of Fire, you can get an Ascended back item based on the choice you make in the second chapter of the story. There are 4 different items you can get this way from making different choices. If you want to buy one, your best bet is from Living World 3 vendors yet again, who will trade you an Ascended back item for a large sum of map currency in Unbound Magic. You can also buy them from Glenna with Magnetite obtained from doing raids. If you like to raid, there's also a chance for Sabitha, Keep Construct, Zera, or Deimos to drop an Ascended back item. But I wouldn't count on it as your main method, as they seem to be quite rare. That was a lot of information. So let's run through each type of gear and the most ideal methods one more time. Ascended Gear Guide any percent, go. You can buy 1 Ascended weapon per quarter from the Wizard's Vault. They can also be bought at good value from raids or strikes. If you need one of the specific types available to you through them, you can also use the Elite Spec Collections or Knight of the Thorn. Otherwise, they have a chance to drop into Quaddle, Jakar, Dragonfall, Dragonstorm, Dragon's End, raid bosses, Fractal Chest, reward tracks, or World Reward rank up rewards. You can buy 3 pieces of armor per quarter from the vault, or buy them from raids or strikes. They can drop from Quaddle, Triple Trouble reward tracks, or World Reward rank ups. If you're willing to do raids, the best method is probably the Envoy Collection, which also gets you closer to legendary armor. Amulets can be purchased with laurels, badges of honor, certain Living World 3 currencies, Mistborn motes, or eternal ice shards, or earned from some Heart of Thorns, Path of Fire, or End of Dragon story meta achievements. If you own every Living World, consider going straight for legendary instead. Buy rings with pristine fractal relics, laurels, badges of honor, Mistborn motes, or winter berries, or get them as drops from fractal chests or World v World rank ups. Buy accessories with guild commendations, laurels, winter berries, Mistborn motes, or eternal ice shards. They can also drop from fractals. Finally, buy a back item from a Living World 3 vendor or complete the second chapter of the Path of Fire story. Time. That speedrun world record marks the end of this guide. There's a lot of information here, so feel free to ask in the comments for clarification or specific details. If this was helpful, consider leaving a like, subscribing, and/or commenting what other topics you'd like me to cover. Thanks for watching.